Hello everyone, my name is Morten, as Fernando he just said, and next to me I have my colleague Erik. Please say hello.
Erik, hello.
Erik, he's the backup today. He has a bit more experience than I have, and will be helping me to answer all the questions later on, hopefully. Yeah, if we'll just continue. The agenda is as follows. The presentation will mainly take part in the eco-design regulation and our own experience while testing units or fans. First of all, I'll introduce you to the regulation. Some of you might already know a lot, and even more than I do, and some of you might need a little update. Afterwards, I'll go through the requirements as they are now and the test method we're using here at DTI. After that, I'll show some calculation examples, as Fernando he said, that could be of big interest for some of you, probably. And in the end, I'll speak shortly about the verification procedures and the market surveillance. And if we have some spare time in the end, I'll show a tool used for optimizing fans and motors, etc., that we developed here at DTI. Just quick. As I said before, and Fernando told, we are from the Danish Technological Institute. It is a private company, a DTS institute. That means that we are authorized to perform different tests for different authorities. We are around 1,200 employees spread around in Scandinavia. And we are mainly working with research and development activities, and also performance contract activities and commercial projects. Yeah, I don't know if it's necessary to add something here. Both me and Erik has been working for the European Commission regarding eco-design regulation 327 for fans, but also regarding air handling units. And as I said before, Erik has a few more years on the back, not to say several years. Yeah. The background for the regulation, Fernando already mentioned it. There is a huge energy saving potential when applying this regulation. As far as I remember, it's estimated that you can save up to 10% by 2020. Just in comparison, the Norwegian electricity production is around 120 terawatt per hour. And the first tier came into force the 1st January 2013, and the second tier came into force last year. And I'll mainly be focusing on the second tier. Basically, this regulation includes all fans between 125 watt and 500 kilowatt. The fan has to be equipped or designed to use an electric motor. And the fan does not apply to a lot of fan types that are used for other purposes. Some of them are just showed here. It could be, for example, products for emergency use only. It could be laundry and washer dryers with input power below 3 kilowatt. It could be kitchen hoods that is included in another eco-design regulation. And then it could be fans with specific operating conditions that could, for example, be in explosive atmosphere or in highly toxic environments. The regulation deals with 4 different fan types. The axial fan type, it's the one shown here. Well, yeah. And then the centrifugal fan, well, there are 3 different types, the forward curved fan, the backward curved fan with and without housing, and the radial fan. Then it also includes the mixed flow fan, should be showed here, and the cross flow fan. Okay, I can see that we made a mistake. That's also an axial fan. The cross flow fan is usually used in the cooling devices. It should have been something else. This is the eco-design requirements for 2013. No, it will come in a moment. And if we take a look a bit closer on this, I'll just go through all the parameters that needs or are shown in the eco-design requirement. First of all, you have the fan type. It's shown here. This is the axial fan type. Then we have the measurement category shown by the blue square. I'll go into this a bit later. Then we have the efficiency grade or category, static or total. And then we have the power range or the input power. It's important to know that the power range is at the optimum energy efficient point. That means that if you have a fan that is, for example, 11 kilowatts, it could, you can see here you have like 2 different lines. If it's above 10 kilowatts, you use this formula. If it's below 10 kilowatts, you use this one. So you could actually end up having a fan with input power above the 10 kilowatts, but at the optimum energy efficient point, it's lower than the 10 kilowatts, so you have to use this one. And there are different requirements for the different formulas, or those 2 different lines. Then we have the target energy efficiency showed with the yellow or orange square. And the end target is calculated by the power range and the efficiency grade. The efficiency grade is the last one here. All the mentioned parameters is something that the manufacturers has to provide to us when testing, and all of them are used to calculate the efficiency grade or the end target that the fan has to fulfill. The fan overall efficiency measured and calculated according to Annex 2 must be greater or equal to the value of the target efficiency, and that is the one shown here. And the fan overall efficiency is based on one of the efficiency categories, static or total, as I just mentioned. And this is for the first year in 2013. In the second year, 2015, the efficiency grade changed. So everything else is the same, but the efficiency grade got increased. And I'll show that here. This is from the second year. It's the same as the first year. If we look a bit closer to what is the difference between the first year and the second year, we can see that, for example, for the axial fan, that the efficiency grade increased from 36 to 40. That means 4 percentage points. And that is for the static pressure. If we have a look at the total pressure, we can see it got increased from 50 to 58. That means 8 percentage points. And why is this so important? It is important for the manufacturers because they can actually choose whether they should, or whether the fan should be tested according to the static pressure or the total pressure. So if you have a fan that is not performing that well, you could actually, or at the total pressure, you could actually change it to the static pressure. It means that you'll get reduced requirements. Yeah. Now I'll go a bit deeper with the requirements. Yeah, this is just another way to show the efficiencies of fans or the requirement for fans. It's actually the same as the tables I showed before. Yeah, the first tier is showed in the top, and the second tier is showed in the bottom. It's more like so you have them later on. The fans has to apply or their regulation, of course. Besides that, the manufacturers has to provide a lot of information, not only for us but also for users. If the manufacturers has to provide the technical documentation consisting of these 14 points, and this information should be visible, displayed in the technical documentation, and somewhere at the internet could be the manufacturer's websites. It's just important that the people has free access to it. This 14-point list is, or it's not necessary to use the same words, but it has to be shown somewhere. And the first 5 points has to be marked on or near the rating plate of the fan. And regarding the 5 points, point 5. I'll start over. Regarding point 5, which describing whether the fan has a variable speed drive, it must be written on the rating plate if it's installed or if it's integrated within the fan. And yeah, this is a nameplate, an example where the 5 first points has to be shown. If we take a closer look, we can see first of all we have 0.1, the overall efficiency, and it should be rounded to 1 decimal place. Then we have the measurement category shown here by the A. It could be A to D. And we have the third one, efficiency category, static or total. And then we have 0.4, efficiency grade at the optimum energy efficiency point. And then we have 0.5 here, where it's written that VSD is integrated. Yeah. If the manufacturers do not fulfill these 14 points, a fan can, or in market surveillance, a fan can actually fail because of this. So far, it has not been really done that way. We agreed with the Danish authorities that in the beginning of the first year, it was okay that the manufacturers didn't fulfill these 14 points. It was only about the efficiency of the fan. But after the second year came into force, we agreed with the Danish authorities that that all these 14 points has to be fulfilled. Otherwise, it will fail a test. Yeah, the test method. The regulation does not really refer to any standards. It's only writing that the measurements and calculations must be made using a reliable, accurate, and reproducible method. And here at DCI, we are using the EN 5801 standard. It's a standard for industrial fans. It's written below. Since the regulation came with another calculation method, I'll come into that a bit later. We also have to perform a motor test separately, and there we are using another standard. It's the one called EC 640. If we go a bit closer to the how we are testing, the manufacturers has, according to the previously described list, at the 14 points, to provide the rated motor power input and the flow rate and the pressure at the optimum energy efficiency point. And it's shown by the square and the arrow. Based on this information, we can plot in the point where the fan has the best efficiency. And to make, when we are testing, then we are always testing around this point given by the manufacturers to make sure that we will find the best efficiency point. Normally, when we are performing a test not according to the regulation, we always make the full curve. It's a bit different in this regulation, where we only have to test in one point. And that can be a problem. We also have seen that it is a problem sometimes if the manufacturers are giving a point far from what we are testing. Then we will actually not be able to find the optimum energy efficiency point. And how we are doing this is that we are changing the pressure, we are changing the flow rate, and hereby we are getting a wave of measurements around the points. Yeah, the energy efficiency is calculated by this formula shown here. This formula is only used if a variable speed drive is not included. If a variable speed drive is included, we're using another formula where we are adding a part load compensation factor. I'll not go deeper into this because this is something you can definitely read by yourself. What is important is that what we are measuring or what we are writing when measuring. This is an example for a compliance result that passed. I'll just quickly go through. We measure the efficiency here based on the efficiency grade that the manufacturer gave us. And the requirement is calculated by the previously shown formula. It's 45.6. And this target efficiency has to be multiplied by a factor 0.9, so it actually gives us a lower requirement for the compliance, and it's shown here, it's the 41. So in this case, the product really performed well and way better than the requirement in the regulation. The regulation deals with 4 different measurement categories, A, B, C, and D. And the A version is a fan with free inlet and outlet. The B is a fan with free inlet and ducted outlet. C is a fan with ducted inlet and free outlet, and D is a fan with duct at the inlet and outlet. I'll show you an example. Yeah, this is measurement category A, and the fan is shown by the red square. In this case, because we have to measure the flow, we have to add a box, also called what is called a pressure equalization box, and which is attached to one of the sides of the fan. Doesn't matter which one. This box has to fulfill the requirements regarding dimensions, velocity, distributions over the cross-sectional area. Due to these requirements, the pressure inside the box is considered almost as uniform or atmospheric pressure. And in this way, we can measure the flow. And the box is made according to the standards. Example B, here again you see the fan with a ducted inlet. Yeah, it's not like I'll go into details for this, it's just so you have an idea what we are talking about the different categories. This is measurement category C. And this is measurement category D with a ducted inlet and outlet. Yeah, some of there are differences between the regulation and the old standards, and some of the significant differences between the old standard and the regulation is that the efficiency is calculated different. Before, the efficiency was calculated by the hydraulic power divided by the input power, as we know. The new regulation apply a new parameter called the compressibility coefficient. It's shown here. The compressibility coefficient is the ratio between the mechanical work that a fan performs on a gas and the work that would be done on an incompressible fluid at the same mass flow. This compressibility coefficient is also the reason why an additional motor test has to be performed separately. And I'll show you why. The compressibility coefficient is calculated by the compressibility factor, which includes impeller power, shown here. This impeller power, or the mechanical energy, requires an additional test. I'll get into that a bit later as well. The Mach factor is also applied in the new standard, though that if the velocity velocity in the duct is lower than the 40 meters per second, it's not necessary to calculate or to include the Mach factor or Mach number. I made some calculation examples. I made a few examples why it's not necessary to make an additional test of the motor. Of course, we're not interested in that because it costs a lot. If we could measure the fan only and not the motor, we could say 1/4 of the price of the fan test. Here at this example, we are looking at a low pressure fan. If we take a look at the first pillar, it shows the static fan efficiency calculated according to the eco-design, and the second pillar is also made according to the eco-design, but without implementing the Mach factor and the stagnation pressure. The third and the fourth pillar is made according to the eco-design, where the impeller power is changed from 1 to 100%. The first example here is 1%, and the second example here is 100%. And the fifth pillar shows the efficiency calculated by the old standard, so the hydraulic power divided by the input power. As we see, there are no significant differences between the calculation method, and this of course leads us to the thought that it's not necessary to perform an additional motor test, and it's not necessary to use the Mach factor and Mach number and the stagnation pressure. This is only or can only be applied for the low pressure fans. That was what I wanted to say. If we have a look at an intermediate fan or intermediate pressure fan, it's almost the same. The pillars shows the same, but we can see that there is a bit bigger difference between the regulation, the first four, and the standard way to calculate the efficiency. If we have a look at a high pressure fan, the differences are getting a bit bigger still. They're not significant bigger. Yeah. Again, if we can test the fan without testing the motor, we can save around 1/4 of the price. A bit about the verification procedure. If a fan is not able to meet the requirements, then we have to test the same or the same fan 3 times, or randomly test the 3 more units of the same model. And if the average efficiency is higher than the end target, then the fan complies with the requirements. If not, then it's failed. I'll get a bit into that as well. Based on the market surveillance, we have seen that some of the companies fulfill almost all requirements about the product information, and a lot of the manufacturers do not fulfill them. In the shown table, we see that some of the results that we have tested. In the second column here, we see the measurement category. Before we can actually test a fan here, we need to have information about which category the manufacturer is testing the fan at. And around 1/3 of the companies didn't provide this information, why we had to choose a category by ourselves. This is, of course, not an appropriate approach, as if we do not get the same results as the company can claim that they used another measurement category, and that is not good for anyone. Regarding the specified performance, you can also see that some of the manufacturers didn't provide this information. That is not that relevant, because anyway we will measure it. But of course it gives us an idea where we should end up. Yeah, the measured performance, the requirements, and the input power, and here you can see the status. As you see, there is a big variation between the performances of our fans. Some units are performing really well and others less well. And around 1/3 of all fans that we have tested didn't pass the test. So it's really relevant, this market surveillance. Of course it's important to have a look at the input power. So far we have only been testing kind of small fans, and the main reason for this is that it costs more to test larger fans, and the authorities can get more fans tested when they choose to test small fans than bigger fans. But hopefully this will change as well, so we can start testing bigger fans to see if the same tendency is, that if there is the same tendency for big fans. In many cases, we have experienced that units delivered to us has been in so bad shape or in condition that it wouldn't make sense to test them. And in the beginning of the first year, from 2013, we agreed with the Danish authorities that we should make the companies aware if we saw some obstacles or problems with the respective units. That means that we actually we talked with the companies and they had a possibility to change or send a new product. After the second year came into force, we agreed with the Danish authorities that the units should be tested as received. That means now that if we receive a unit in bad shape, we'll still test it. If we look at the pictures shown here, you can see that there are some there are some leakages here and here, and this will certainly have an impact on the efficiency of the fan. Another thing we experienced is that either the unit is not delivered with the right transitions, or in some cases no transitions. Just to make sure that transitions is the one shown here. When I say right transitions, I mean a transition made according to the standard. The transition section is preferable formed from a single sheet of material as illustrated in this figure. In some cases it's okay not to use a transition formed according to the standard. If we receive a fan with wrong transitions, we will still test it, and it will definitely reduce the efficiency for the fan. Because of or based on our experience, we made this little description with the Danish energy authorities. So now they will send out, they'll send out this description when they're picking out fans for market surveillance. Then the manufacturers knows what they have to deliver and what not to deliver. That was the presentation, or not the live presentation. I think we have a bit more time, Fernando. Hello, Fernando?
Yeah, sorry. I was muted to avoid background noises. Yes, so I think we have some time for a live show. So you can please proceed.
Okay. The MST tool is a tool used for system optimization, and it stands for motor system tool. It can be used for several purposes, and one of the things it can be used for is to calculate the efficiency of a fan as a function of the part load. And it is a tool that we developed here at DTI, and you can find more information about it at this link shown here, where you can also download the program. It's a free program. You only have to register, and I think you'll receive a newsletter as well. Okay, we'll see if I can show you the program. Is it possible for you to see my screen now, Fernando?
Yes, it works.
It works. I can see that it's in Danish. I'll just change it quickly. Wait a moment. Yes. First of all, one of the advantages is that the program is easy to use and you can quickly gain a lot of useful information. And you can optimize the system. First of all, you type in the input or some input parameters first. It's the load. Here we have a fan, so you choose the fourth one. And then we type in the transmission. I'll just make a quick example. If we say we have a belt transitions and we could use, then you have a lot of possibilities here for different setups. Down here, if you have a look, you have some pros and cons for belts. At the moment it is in Danish, but it will soon be in English as well. And the same here, you have some good advices for belts. And it is also in Danish at the moment, but will also be in English soon. If we change some of the parameters here, I'll just quickly go through this, see if we can. Yeah. Then we'll type in the motor drive. Here you can type in if you have some information about the motor. You can type in. If you do not have information, you can load a standard motor. And we'll just try to take one here. You can choose a motor size. You can choose the class of the motor. You can choose how many poles. Yeah, we'll just choose this. Motor data over. Then you have to choose a motor connection. In this example, we'll just choose a frequency converter, a constant. If we type an example in here, it's something you can play with by yourself. I'll just type in some numbers. Yeah, this is the main picture where you can see a lot of different things. Here at the left, you can see the efficiency of the fan. At the moment, this is the one we can regulate. Or I'll just. Down here, you decide which one you will regulate after. You can regulate after the fan, the motor, or will regulate after the fan. So at the moment, I have the possibility to type in the efficiency of a fan. It could be 84%. Based on this information, I can see the information about the motor, and I can see the input power, the total input power, and I can see the annual cost as well here. And the thing about this program is that we can change different parameters, and then we can see the efficiencies, and we can see the annual cost. For example, if we change the transmission, I don't know what it could be. It could be no transmission. We could do it again. Then we can see the input power changed and the annual cost changed as well. And you have different things you can change. You could also change, for example, the motor. If we try to load a standard motor again, we change it to an EI2 or EI3. We'll just that should also change something. It didn't really go that well in this example. But the thing is, you have a lot of different possibilities in the program. If you have some known information about the fan, that is what you type in. If you do not have that, but you only have the information about the transmissions, then it's that you type in. Or if you have information about the input power, that is what you type in. And then you can sit and change some of the parameters to see if you can reduce the input power, or if you can increase the efficiencies, and in the end reduce the annual cost. I think at the homepage you can find a full presentation of this program, and you'll also be able to find a quick guide for it. So I don't think I'll use more time on this, Fernando.
Okay, very good.
If I close.
No problem, that's good. I will upload again the presentation. Very good. So I think we came to the end of the presentation.